Alright, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to remove that door and cut out a new spot in the wall here for this new door here. And I'm going to frame that out and close it off. And I'm going to also frame the opening for the new door and install the new door. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut out the drywall and see what I have behind the wall, because right now there's probably a couple studs in here somewhere and maybe some electrical running through the wall. The best thing to do is not go in with the saw, is actually to cut it out with a hand knife, or sometimes just a hammer. Just break out the drywall, see what you have behind there so you don't mess up anything. There could be gas running behind there. There could be plumbing. There isn't plumbing in this case, I'm almost sure, but also the electric. So I'm going to cut it out. My door size, the actual width of the door, the frame and everything, is 31.5. I frame it to be an inch bigger, so you have a half inch on either side so you can move your door around. Same with the height. The height of an exterior, this is all exterior door, it's 81.5. So I make it 82 or 82.5, usually just a half inch extra on the height. But again, since this is a remodel job, I do not know if the concrete is completely level, so I'll give it an inch on the top. I'm going to have to cut it out bigger because I'm going to have to frame in some 2x6s around the door and also a header for it as well. I'm going to go ahead and cut from the corner because I'm going to have to go all the way to the top with my 2x6s, and I'm going to cut it out to the center of this stud. A stud is 1.5 inches wide, so I'm going to cut it about 1/2 inch. So I'm going to find out where it is at the top. As you can see, I already started doing that, and at the bottom, and I'm going to make a line with a chalk line and cut with a hand knife. This is what I find to be the best for that. I'm going to go ahead and cut all the way down and just pull that whole piece of drywall off. I have popped a line with my chalk box, and that will be the line that I'm going to cut along with my knife. And you will probably hit nails every once in a while. As you can see, I have removed the drywall here, and there is a stud here, so I will probably just come off this. It will be one of my studs I use for the framing. This one I'm going to have to take out, and the insulation I'm going to have to take out as well. It actually looks like there's no electrical, no plumbing, no gas. So I'll pretty much do whatever I want there. If there is electrical running through, what you can do is you can tie a wire to here, because you're going to have to cut it. You're going to have to tie a wire there, go through, drill a hole through the top of this, and wherever you frame your new studs into here, you're going to have to drill through that, and then come back down and go through the original holes that they have for that. But in this case, there is no wire, so I do not have to worry about that. As you can see, they put 2 foot on center studs. Generally, when I frame a house, I go 16 inches on center, but the code says that you can do 2 foot on centers. The trusses are running this way. This is a bearing wall, but since it is a smaller area, I can go ahead and take this out, and it's not going to mess with the truss weight on there. If you're cutting out a bigger door opening, or if you're worried about the weight, or if you have a lot of weight on the roof, what you would do is build a temporary wall right about this area, and that would hold the weight of the truss. And you could cut out the drywall to put the temporary wall in and kind of just pin nail it in there just to hold it. I'm going to go ahead and cut this loose without putting a temporary wall up to hold it and support it. I'm going to do that with a recep saw. I'm going to go ahead and cut the nails on the top and bottom of this, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it out. There's going to be staples that from the Celotex into the 2x6 here. That's where how they keep the siding on the outside, so they staple it to it. So when you pull it out, that is what's going to be holding it in place. Past that, you can use a little bar, big bar, and you can just kind of pry it up as you're pulling it. Start at the bottom or top, and just kind of pry it up and pull it out. Alright, I've taken out the 2x6. It was actually a little bit harder than I thought. They actually nailed it in instead of stapled it in. So what I'm going to do next is, this is going to be the stud that I come off of. And you have to have a header across all doors and windows. Not only is that building code in the state of New Mexico and excuse me, a lot of other states, but it helps because there is a truss right here. You can see from the hurricane strap, there is, it's just better to have a header across there. The door is 81.5 inches tall, and that's from the very bottom of it to the very top of the frame. And I give it an inch above that, kind of compensate for if there's cronking problems, and if you move it around, and it also just really doesn't matter if you have a ½ inch to an inch gap around your door. To get my header that height, or my, it's called the trimmer, because you have to have a 2x6 nailed up here, or nailed next to this one, that holds your header that goes across. And you have an inch and a half for your bottom plate here. So since that is 81.5, the door is 81.5 inches tall, plus an inch and a half here, I'm going to go ahead and cut my trimmer out to be 81 inches tall, and then plus inch and a half there. That will give me 82.5 inches, and that will give me an inch above my door. To make the cut, I'm going to use a circular saw, and to make the cut, you never want to pull up on the sides, on both sides where it pinches on the blade, because when you do cut through the wood is going to start pinching on the blade, and it kicks back the saw, and that's actually one of the most dangerous things about using a circular saw. But if you let the one side hang off that you're going to cut, and it falls off, it does not pinch the blade, and this can actually be a very safe saw to use. I have measured this to be 81 inches long, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Put my stud in here that's going to be the other side of the door, and I've also cut 2 trimmers, one for each stud. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The entire door, the frame and everything, is 31.5 inches wide. Alright, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to nail the trimmer that I cut 81 inches long. I'm going to nail it right up next to the stud here. And I'm also going to nail the other trimmer next to the stud. I'm going to do this on the ground, and I'm just putting them both up at the same time. To figure out where this one goes, go ahead and measure the bottom to 32.5. Make a mark. And you want it to be pretty even so the door fits in there better, and you don't have it where it pinches off the door and makes it hard to set. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line, and I'll make my trimmer flush with that. And for the top, because that is to the inside of the trimmer, find out where the top of this is, because it's 1.5 inches in. I'm just going to go ahead, and this is an inch and a half in. I'm going to go ahead and add 3 inches to the 32.5 to find out where the top stud is nailed into. Alright, so I'm going to move this in here, even with my line that I made at the top, and the inside is going to be even with the line I made at the bottom. I don't want it tight there so it's not sticking into your wall. I'm going to angle the nails down into the plate. I'm going to do the same for the top. Alright, so one of the last things I have left to do for framing this is putting my header across, and it should be 3 inches longer than the 32.5. So it should be 35.5 inches long. You cut 2 2x6s, 35.5, and you nail them together. Alright, I went ahead and cut my 2 2x6s for the header. You line them up, make sure they're flush both ways as you can get them, and go ahead and nail them. Lift this up, and you put it in place, and you nail it in place. Try to angle your nails in both ways, and then I'm going to have to make a little 2x6 pieces of wood in here, and that is so your weight up here is put on your 2x6 and then it's carried across here, so you will never have cracks in your drywall or worry about your trusses or plating settling a little bit. Alright, well I've measured down, you measure from the bottom of the plate to the top of your header here. Gave out maybe a 6 1/8 of an inch. And I usually put one right over where the trimmer goes. Sometimes you have to beat them in a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put one there, one here, and one somewhere just about in the middle somewhere. I'm going to have to go ahead and beat those in.